My first take got corrupted, so since I am kind of tired of doing this, instead of going into a full-on video like I was going to, I'm just gonna get to the point and list everything that I wish I knew about making a webcomic, well, before I started making a webcomic. Hopefully by me making this video, you will not fall into the same pitfalls that I did. So, yeah. But anyway, take this video with a grain of salt, as I am not a professional, and this is just from experience from making my own webcomic Rumors and Conspiracies, which is about a kid named Billy who wakes up in a lab only to find out the world he lived in was nothing but a lie. So if that sounds interesting to you, maybe you should click the link in the description below. Anyway, let's get back to the video. So, here are some of my webcomic tips. One thing that I wish I knew was write out your whole story first, okay? I don't care how rough in development it is. I don't care how, unsure you are of it. Please, for the love of God, write it down. You're gonna thank yourself later, because I did the mistake of thinking that I had it all in my head. But trust me, if you think you do, you don't. Because I was like, I don't need to write it down. However, when it came down to actually writing for my chapters and writing for a few scenes, guess what? All the stuff that I wanted to write down, whoop, all gone. Zilch. I forgot 99% of it. So please write it down. It doesn't matter how rough it is or how unsure you are of it, just write it down. You're gonna thank yourself later. So yeah, my second point is that art style doesn't matter. Your story does. So many people, especially online, are so worried about their art style. It's kind of insane. Sure, there is a small percentage of people who only care about the art, because I used to be one of those people. The only webcomic experience I had for a long time was just webtoons, and I would judge the art. I'd be like, oh, this chick looks pretty, I'm gonna read it. Only for it to be a subpar story with very pretty art. So yeah, don't worry about how your art's gonna look, just focus on making a good story, because most people care about the story more than the art. It's true. Go to Comic Fury, which is where I'm currently hosting my webcomic, and you can see all these amazing people. And, you might think to yourself, oh, but this art style isn't for me. But that's a good thing about Comic Fury. It makes you think more open-minded when it comes to your stories. Sure, you might go, stick figure comics? I don't know, that doesn't really sound like my thing. And before you know it, you're way steep, invested into this plot, the world, everything. It's kind of insane, So, yeah, don't worry so much about what your art looks like. I mean, I've even seen Lego comics on here. People will make full-on Lego scenes and everything, and that's their comic. So don't worry so much about what your art looks like. Just focus on your story and then go and care about the art later. Because I did it the other way around. I cared about the art first and then the story. Which, please don't do that. Don't do that. Your art doesn't matter at the moment. Just focus on your story. Which leads me to my third point. Not everything has to be final straight away. That goes for your story. That goes for the art style, the character design, because when I came up with my story, it was kind of based off a dream that I had that was really weird and abstract. The ending was what really got me, because I was like, oh my god. I just bolted out of bed and went, I have to write this down right now. And using that as inspiration, I took bits and pieces of it, made it less weird and abstract, and kind of made it into my own story. So, because I have a whole notebook just dedicated to writing my chapters. And if you look at chapter 1 and compare it to chapter 5, it's night and day how different it is. And you will notice throughout these pages that there's little boxes of being oh, don't use this section. Notice how I didn't scribble them out, because sometimes you could use that idea for something else later down the track. So keep that in mind when you're writing your story. Just know it doesn't have to be final when you're writing it. Okay, and I know what you're thinking. Oh man, but I can't draw just one arm. I have to draw it 100% perfectly. I can't use shortcuts, that's cheating. Use shortcuts, okay? Copy and paste is your best friend. There have been so many instances where I can't draw one arm, and then I'm like, oh wait, I can just copy and paste the other arm and have it like that. It's genius. And if you are doing it digitally, yeah, use copy and paste. Use 3D models for backgrounds. I mean, hell, I've even seen people who use Minecraft as their background references. Like, anything is possible, man. So just know that it's not cheating to use copy and paste and 3D models as references. Seriously. Like, people who say that are just meh. Okay? They're just meh. Like, bruh, you're gonna thank yourself, trust me. Seriously. Like, copy and paste multiple backgrounds. Like, that's what I do. Sometimes I will draw a background and then save it as an image and just continuously use it for my background, because sometimes redrawing the same background over and over and over again can get kind of tiring. For the reader, it's probably only 6 pages, but for you, it's probably eternity, so please use shortcuts. You're gonna thank yourself later. But this leads to my next point. Take breaks and know when to quit. Your readers will not hate you for taking a break. Because, seriously, there were times where I would just keep on going, regardless of how I felt, regardless of how terrible my mental health was. I just kept going. And while it's good to have determination, you gotta know when to stop and step away for 5. Like, there was so many instances in my blog post where I said I felt really bad for taking a break, that I felt like I was letting my readers down. If your readers are nice and friendly, like most people are, hopefully, they're going to understand and respect you as an artist. You know, you might not think they care about you as the reader. You might think they're just gonna throw tomatoes at you and go, boo, where's the next page? Boo, give us more pages, how dare you, boo. But they care about you too, man. Like, they're gonna not mind you taking a week off. They're not gonna mind if you take a step back and do another project because you can't stand drawing the same face over and over again of that one character you find annoying. So, take breaks and know when to quit. Your readers are not gonna hate you for it. And this is more going back to the story stuff that I mentioned earlier. But when it comes to your comic, plan a beginning, middle, and end. And that also goes for your chapters as well. So not just your whole story, but your chapters. Even before I started writing my comic, you gotta have a beginning, middle, and end when it comes to your story. For an example, my beginning, middle, and end is Billy wakes up in a lab only to find out the world he lived in was a lie. The middle. He's in the lab, they're doing experiments and stuff, but they want to know what's outside the lab. So him and 2 other people escape the facility. And then finally, they all take down the evil organization known as Oculus Incorporated for now. So that was my beginning, middle, and end. And I figured all that out way before I even wrote a single chapter. But one thing that I wish I found out sooner was that also goes for your chapters as well. So you might have a beginning, middle, and end for your whole entire story, but you also got to have a beginning, middle, and end for your chapters. And to be honest with you, I don't really have a ton of beginning, middle, and ends for my own chapters, and it's probably something that I should do a bit more. This is why I said at the beginning, please take whatever I say with a grain of salt, and I am not a professional. So, but yeah, do beginning, middle, and end before anything else. So then that way, you have a rough guideline in your head to kind of work off. So when you're writing your story, you kind of have a rough like idea of what your beginning, middle, and end will look like. But of course, that beginning, middle, and end can change. Like maybe somewhere along the way, you're like, actually, I don't like how it begins here and ends like this. I'm gonna change it like that. You know? Like, for an example, the evil bad guy Oculus was gonna originally be a person behind a mask, and that person was insinuated to be Max. But of course, Max is not that anymore. He's just kind of thrown into this mess, and he has no idea what he's doing. So he's not like the bad guy. He's just kind of there. So, yeah, no, it's not really a spoiler anymore, but that was one thing I had to change. There were so many pages I had to redraw where I had to turn it into the robot form that Oculus is now. So, anyway, beginning, middle, and end. Plan them for your story and your chapters. Number 7. If you're in it for the money, don't bother. Yep. If you're in it for the money, don't bother. Like, I'm not saying you can't make money, like, doing your webcomic, you know, maybe you're selling merchandise on the side, but I've been working on my webcomic since 2020, and I haven't made, like, a single cent. In the future, I do want to make physical copies of my comic, but that's, like, for future me to deal with, you know? So if you're going to do a webcomic, do it for the love of the craft and not the dollar signs, because you're probably going to be disappointed if you don't end up the next Has-Been Hotel or Homestruck overnight, because even though it would be cool if we could all do that, these things just take time. So don't expect to become a millionaire overnight just because you're making a webcomic. Okay, so my next point is point number 8. Don't be scared to ask for advice and feedback. It seems incredibly terrifying at first, especially since you are saying, hey, please point out every single thing wrong with my comic, please and thank you, right? It's terrifying, but sometimes you might get a perspective that you might have never gotten otherwise. Like, I was trying to draw this one page, and I really needed feedback on how to show that Billy was falling and tripping on his face, right, out of this weird futuristic pod thing. But I didn't know how to draw it. So what I did was I went out and asked, hey, can you guys, like, help me here? I don't know how to make it look like he's tripping and falling on his face. And someone went out of their way, and that's someone being Killer Steak, you know who you are. He went out of his way to sketch out roughly, like, what that would look like, you know, plus he even included some of the reference photos that he used, and yeah, it really helped me. I didn't trace it word for word, beat for beat, but it was really helpful having that perspective from someone else who has been drawing a lot longer than I have. And even with writing too, it's scary to put yourself out there like that. It's very vulnerable, but like 9 times out of 10, you know, these people really want to help you. And yeah, it seems scary, but trust me, you're gonna thank yourself later by asking for feedback and advice. So, we are on to our second last point. You might think this is strange considering this is a video about webcomics, but screenwriting tips are also great for comics. Wow, who would have thought? How did I put 2 and 2 together? Well, you see, writing and making films and comic creation are very similar to each other. And how I figured this out was, well, think about it. They do storyboarding. Comic artists do storyboarding. They write scripts. So do comic artists. So do comic creators, right? And, you know, they use camera angles. Comic creators use camera angles. So, if you want, like, pretty decent advice, look up what you want to look up, but make it screenwriting advice at the end. And you will find some pretty decent results. Some of these ones on YouTube can be kind of clickbaity, and they just say the same advice that every other artist on YouTube says. But if you add screenwriting advice, or how to make a character feel alive screenwriting advice, you're gonna get like better results. So if you want to make a character sound a certain way, or you want to know how to write a certain script for like a scene, just look up film writing and screenwriting tips. It is so much better than some of these other videos. Not saying that the art videos on YouTube suck, but sometimes it's just better to search it under film and screenwriting because it's almost the same thing if you think about it. And it's really helped me with my comic too, you know? Like, for an example, show don't tell. I've used that in my comic, you know? Figuring out how to make like dialogue sound legit, you know, that sort of thing. If you want me to go more over into dialogue stuff, let me know, because I'm happy to give some of my own 2 cents when it comes to dialogue stuff. Alrighty. And finally, my very last point. It's gonna be cliche. So, are you ready? The last point of the video. It's about the journey, not the process. And I know you've probably heard this saying before, and you're probably rolling your eyes right now being like, are you serious? You're saying that? But I'm being legit, man. Like, don't like rush into comic making because it's a process. Like, for example, like I thought that my comic was gonna take 2 to 3 years to complete. Yeah. It's been way longer than 2 to 3 years, let me tell you that. And when someone recommended I join Comic Fury, I kind of expected it to be a really dead website, but it's far from dead. It's so alive. Being able to talk to everyone, being able to check out everyone's comics, it's so nice. I have been a part of like so many events on the site, and everyone's just so lovely and supportive. And even though me doing my webcomic this way has taken me way longer than if I already knew all this stuff beforehand, it's been so worth it because I've had, you know, so many positive experiences, so many amazing things. Like, I would have never joined half of these events if it weren't for me, like, going out of my way to participate in these things. So yeah, and if I didn't take my comic making process slow, I would have never met half of these people. I probably would have never interacted in the forums in the first place. But you know, if you don't stop and smell the flowers once in a while, you know, as Ferris Bill once said, if you don't stop, look around you, you're gonna miss it. So, I mean, and it's your story after all, and that takes time and effort. Like, it's not easy. Making a webcomic is not easy. And even if you don't think you have a story to tell, there's someone out there that wants to hear it. So, yeah. Like, go out there and freaking make that story a reality. I know you got it in you. You might think you don't, but I know you do. We all have a story to tell. So, get out there and make it, damn it. Alright, that's enough of my advice. Like, comment, and subscribe. Okay, bye.